So hello, welcome to the Al Media channel on YouTube. But then before I begin with what I have for you today, don't forget that you can win some money for yourself. You can win up to $140. Yes, $140, all by predicting some of the games that we'll be giving out, over the weekend in the Premier League. All you have to do is to follow our media across the various social media handles. You interact with our posts, and then also you predict correctly the games that will be given out, and you can stand a chance of winning $140 just by predicting. So it's so easy. Like I said, step one, ensure that you're following our media across the various social media handles, and then also secondly, you interact. Thirdly, you ensure that you predict accordingly to the games we'll be giving out, and you can be walking away with some quid. My name is Josiah. Once again, welcome to the Al Media channel, where we'll be discussing the Premier League because we're getting to the business end, the climax of the Premier League. And the title race is on. Manchester City, Arsenal. I don't know who you think is winning the title, but it's getting keener and keener, and certainly it could go down to the wire, because this weekend there's a London derby where Arsenal will be taking on Fulham, and then also you have Manchester City traveling all the way to Merseyside to take on Everton at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Quite some top fixtures over there. But then down there as well, there's Tottenham Hotspurs, who are not entirely safe, and then West Ham United also in action this weekend. Just one more team could be relegated after Wolves and Burnley both got relegated back to the Championship. With me here, two regular guys who will be doing the discussions for me. I've got Courage in the Deportivo Guadalajara kit, and then also Paris Saint-Germain kit is Atiga Maoli Force. These are the two guys helping me today. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Title race getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And before we even talk about the title race, first, who's winning the title?
Arsenal.
Courage, who's winning the title?
I'd go for Arsenal, but then since he's saying Arsenal, no, I don't be on the same page with him. Manchester City.
Manchester City. So as we speak, Arsenal have got a 3-point lead over City because they played one more game.
Yes.
But according to the bookmakers, these two teams have got the same chance of winning the Premier League title for the 2025-2026 season. Now, let me come to you first. Let's begin with the upcoming games, especially as far as the title race is concerned. Arsenal taking on Fulham. How crucial would that be, especially with Arsenal playing in midweek against Atletico de Madrid? Quite a very, very grueling encounter for the Gunners. How do you think they'll fare against Fulham in the Premier League?
Well, before we jump into the game against Fulham, you would have to put into perspective why the Premier League has become, keener for Arsenal and much more difficult for them. The match against Bournemouth and the match against Man City were matches that they shouldn't have lost, because if they hadn't lost those matches, then the match against Fulham wouldn't have been so much of an important game to them. But the fact that they were not able to get all the 3 points against Bournemouth, and then they also lost against Man City, has made it imperative for them to win all the matches remaining. And one thing also that's going to aid Arsenal is the fact that they are not playing ahead of Man City. They get to play first before Man City plays. So it builds the point, and then the pressure diverges onto Man City, because that was what was helping Man City. I mean, a couple of seasons ago, where they were playing proud to Arsenal plays. So I think that the match against Fulham is going to be a very, very tough match. I can tell you for the fact that it's going to be one of the biggest matches for Arsenal this season, because if they are able to win that match, then the point goes back to 6 points before the Man City plays. The pressure is going to be redirected onto Man City. And you see, it boils down again. Do they have the temerity? Do they have the confidence? Do they have the character? These are questions that Arsenal over the past couple of seasons have not been able to justifiably answer. Because you cannot, for Christ's sake, be leading Man City on I think 2-3 occasions, and then they will overhaul the points total. So one thing too that is aiding Arsenal currently is the fact that majority of their players are coming back from injury. We talk about Trossard, we talk about Kai Havertz, we talk about what's the name, Saka. Who is going to be probably playing against Atletico Madrid. So I would say that they have what it takes. And you see, that there's also a different atmosphere at Arsenal today, because when they lost against Bournemouth and also lost against Man City, they were not downtrodden. They still had confidence. They still had belief, to the extent that the leaders in the team, uplifted the players and made them understand, that the going is not yet over. It is tough though, but they still have confidence. So I think that the London derby, and see, I mean, the prior occasions that they've played Fulham, they've come up on top. So I don't think that is going to be a tough order or a tough ask for them to beat Fulham, but they would have to take it as the most important game in their calendar year, because if should they lose that match or draw that match, then it means that the initiative of going 6 points clear would not be realized.
All right. So before I take Courage's submission on the game, it's one of the games that you can predict and win. It's Arsenal against Fulham at the Emirates, as one of the 6 games we are bringing to you. So all you have to do is to go to the comment section and then predict who the scoreline, the final scoreline, of this game, and you, like I said, can stand a chance of winning a share of $140. That's quite some money. But Kai, would you want to predict before you even give me your submission?
Arsenal Fulham is no match for Arsenal. To be very, very frank, out of about 11 games played, Arsenal has only lost 1. That was their previous match before this particular game. So I don't think it's a London derby. Arsenal are very much aware. They know what is at stake. Fulham, on the other hand, are also they're not too far from relegation though. If they lose this match, they will be. It seems like Crystal Palace and Co will close down on them. Fulham are on 10th position. Arsenal, as we speak now, they are 3 points clear of Manchester City, who are pressing them very high. But then City has an advantage of a game lesser, so meaning they have a game at hand. So as 2 London clubs coming together, it's always going to be a firework. But then I don't think it's too much to ask for from Arsenal. Looking at this particular critical stage, if you lose, you are going down. If you draw a point, you can't afford to drop a point at least. So you need to keep the winning, because this is a Pep Guardiola side that has shown from time to time or years over years that they are capable of going 10 games unbeaten. Can Arsenal match that form? Though we are saying this is not the particular season that you can count on Pep and the City side to go on maybe a 10-game streak like non-stop, but then this is something they've demonstrated in the past. This is something they've been doing for years. So in terms of crazy moments like this, seeing players like Bernardo Silva, who is in the form of his life, but this is probably his last season with the Etihad team. So he wants to achieve something, the first season as a captain. So he wants to do something. He wants to leave a mark before exiting the pitch. And then also new recruits like Mark Guay and then Antoine Semenyo, who are these are very, very hungry players who want to leave a mark or who wants to keep their seasons started by winning a laurel. So they've already won the Carabao Cup, but then they want to win a more recognized trophy. And I know the Premiership is one thing that they are targeting. And if you look at the squad depth, that's what Arsenal lacks, because if Manchester City parade their players, you could see that certain Anthony is on the bench, Savinho is on the bench, but then when Arsenal comes out, the players left on the bench are mostly average, and then players that cannot contribute that much if extra efforts are needed. So, but then this Fulham game is manageable. It's one of the games that if Arsenal really wants to win the Premiership, they should come out of this game with the maximum 3 points.
So Arsenal Fulham, one of the key races or key games that could potentially decide the Premier League title. Interesting games in the Premier League. But then also, it's not just Arsenal. Arsenal currently sit at the summit of the table. But then, breathing down the necks of the Gunners is the Citizens' fault. They will be traveling to Everton. Now, Everton are not fighting for anything, this season, at this stage of the season. But most importantly, they are playing at home. And the last time they played at home, they lost to Liverpool late in that Merseyside derby. Now, what should City be looking at? Because City, they've also qualified for the Emirates FA Cup final against Chelsea. Now they need to deal with the real business in the Premier League. How difficult would this be for Pep Guardiola?
You would have to take it from different perspectives. If you are talking about the City that we have seen all season, it's not going to be an easy order, you understand, because this is not the City that we have come to know. And the Premier League is shaping to be tough ask. You understand? Because of the way Arsenal has made it possible for Man City to come into the league. Because proud to I think a couple of matches ago, Arsenal were leading with about 8 points. So that would have effectively ended the pursuit of Man City. But now they've seen that there's a possibility that they could win the league. So I doubt it's going to be an easy match for Man City, but I also doubt it's going to be a difficult match for them. Because remember that should any of the two teams between Arsenal and Man City lose a point, that is going to be effectively the end of the pursuit of the EPL, because they are currently on par in terms of points and in terms of goals. Do you understand me? So it's going to be a dicey aspect. You see, Everton is not fighting for anything. You understand? But that necessarily does not mean that they are not coming to get all the 3 points. Because at the end of the day, your position on the league on the league is tantamount to how much you are going to make at the end of the season in terms of when the compensations are going to be paid. So I think that it's going to be a difficult task for Man City, but with the quality that they have, I don't think that they would not be able to win. But it's going to be a match where experience will have to come to the part, because David Moyes, as we all know, is a defensively minded coach. Is he going to open up and then match Man City boot for boot? I doubt, because they don't have the talent, they don't have the quality, they don't have the experience to match Man City boot for boot when it comes to attacking football. So invariably, it means that they are going to set up in a defensive shape. But how long are you going to be in the defensive shape against a team led by Pep Guardiola, who is going to be relentless, who is going to come at you with everything that they've gotten? So if Everton does a favor to Arsenal by making sure that they take a point from Man City, then that's going to be massive. But I doubt we are going to see Man City drop points.
Now, game number 2 to predict and win a share of the $140. This is our radio channel. As Everton against Manchester City. Yes, the title race is ongoing, but then also you can test your football knowledge. You can test your luck. Just predict, and if you win, you will certainly be awarded your share of that jackpot. But let me come to you. The title race, yes, we've spoken about the title race, but then the places for UEFA Champions League football also gets keener. And you have two teams in the top 4 also going head-to-head with each other. Manchester United against Liverpool, a classic derby in the Premier League. Now, in the reverse fixture, it was Amorim who was at the helm of affairs for Manchester United. You remember Harry Maguire scoring that winner late in that game at the Anfield. The first time in a long time United actually beat Liverpool. Now, United are in fine form. They beat Brentford, last Monday. They face a team like Liverpool, who also have Isak back. He scored. Mo Salah could be bidding farewell because it could be his last game against Manchester United. Courage, the title race, could be decided, but then Champions League football is also on the line. Can
we take a moment and then applaud Mr. Carrick for his good or excellent job at Manchester United so far?
He's done
amazing, something that's very, very astonishing, because this is a club that was struggling some few months ago. They've started coaches like about 3 coaches already this season, and he's only a step-gap coach. He's not been confirmed as the official coach or permanent coach. But then look at what he's been able to do. I don't remember the last time Manchester United lost a game. If you want to count on point guard approaching this game, there we will easily say Manchester United will carry the day. But then this is a Liverpool team, and this is a very, very different ball game altogether, because the rivalry between Liverpool and Manchester United. It's not going to be any regular game. It's going to be real power work, end-to-end stuff. No team is sitting deep, because Manchester United, they don't sit deep. They want to dominate from all angles, right from the defense line to the midfield. They want to boss the attack as well. Brian Mbeumo and co will just be coming at defenders very, very swift. And then also the other hand, Liverpool for some years now, they've been that good, especially with their attacking prowess. Mo Salah, one of the best goal scoring wingers we've ever seen in the Premiership. They have a player like Ekutike will not be available, and then I don't know if Isak will be fit in time to have a taste of that match, though. But then they still have the firepower. They have Cody Gakpo and Co, who can also score. And then inform Daniel Suboslai, he has been very, very fantastic. He has been very, very versatile for them. He plays sometimes at the right wing, sometimes in the middle, sometimes as supporting striker. Who knows? He might even go into this game as the real number 9 in the absence of Hugo Ekitike. It's only 3 points separating these two teams.
Yeah.
One is at 61 and the other at 58. So 3 points. If Manchester United loses this game, meaning Liverpool are coming straight at them and then coming to occupy their position, which is the 3rd position on the league log. And then one thing is also we also need to take notice of, it's only 1 point 1 goal difference, just 1 goal.
Yeah.
So if the game ends 1-0 in favor of Liverpool, United stays on top. But then if Liverpool are able to score more than 2 goals or 2 goals unanswered, meaning that they are overtaking Manchester United.
Exactly.
So there's a lot at stake here. The point gap is just 3, and then also the goal tally is just 1. So Liverpool, if they want to qualify for Europe, or they want to cement their position for European football, these are some of the games they need to win. And the Manchester United also, if you want to show a clear statement that we are back, we want to compete. Though the league is already forfeited, they cannot win the league, but they want to show a clear statement that we are one of the forces as far as the English Premiership is concerned.
Yeah.
So we are coming back for our position. First half, shambolic. The first round was very, very shambolic, something they will never want to revisit. But the second round has been good since Carrick took over. They've gone on about some 7-game streak without losing. They've amassed some huge points. And then I think if we were to be calculating the points from the time Carrick took over, I don't think any coach has won more points than him.
Yeah.
So meaning clearly they are coming back. They're coming. Their glory days are coming back, and then they really need to cement their position so that they're able to buy more key players, because both teams have a very, very big point to prove it, and that promises to be one of the KG encounters you will ever see in this weekend.
Classic derby in the Premier League. Both teams fighting for UEFA Champions League football. It looks certain that after UEFA announced that 5 teams from the Premier League will be playing in the Champions League next season, then both Liverpool and Manchester United will definitely be playing Champions League football. But the most important thing is the bragging right, and then also they'll both be playing for pride. But then Chelsea are also in the hunt, not for UEFA Champions League football. Maybe perhaps it could be out of reach, but then they still want to play in Europe, particularly the Europa League. They also face a Forest side that are way, way, way out of trouble. They don't find themselves, lurking around the danger zone. First, maybe personally you can put your, emotional sleeves on and discuss this from an emotional standpoint. But has Chelsea really fallen that deep?
If you want to dispassionately discuss Chelsea, you understand, it's going to take probably days, you understand. But we have to take it from the beginning of the season to where we are currently, and I would say that the biggest decision that has cost Chelsea this season is the sacking of or the leaving of Maresca. You understand? Because you see, I have always indicated that when it is not broken, you don't have to fix it.
Wasn't it broken?
It wasn't broken, because when you look at the metrics that were given to Maresca to fulfill, he practically was on his way. You understand? Because we were in the Champions League places, we were fighting for the Champions League slot before he left. So his leaving was not performance based. His leaving was more power sharing, more power structure. So let's leave that aside. But you see, I was confident, a couple of weeks ago that Chelsea would have been, or Chelsea were going to be in the top 4 or top 5, considering the fact that they were winning a couple of their matches. But today, as we speak and I sit here, I am not confident. I am not sure that Chelsea is going to be able to be in the top 5.
Wow.
Notwithstanding the fact that they've sacked Rosenel, but the team is collectively not playing well. You understand? They are not the Chelsea that we know, and it's going to be difficult for them to beat Nottingham Forest, because if you look at the way Nottingham Forest has been able to play, especially when they got themselves out of the relegation zone, they've been fantastic. They've been playing well. They've been defensively astute. So I think that is going to be a tough ask for Chelsea to beat them. You hear some of the comments from the Chelsea players, especially from Enzo Fernandez, indicating that he would love to live in Spain. These are things that affect the morale of a team. So I would comprehensively say that it's going to be difficult for Chelsea to beat Nottingham Forest. And notwithstanding even that, the gap between Chelsea and the last team, which is Aston Villa, in the top 5 is 10. You know, and we have 5 or so 6 matches to 4 games to go. So it is nigh impossible for Chelsea to crop these points. But you see, it is quite funny. It is quite funny, the mentality of the team owners. You know, because I can confidently tell you that we have fallen from the pedestal that Roman Abramovich set when he came to Chelsea. For 20 years, we have been dominant. For 20 years, we have had trophies every single season. For 20 years, we have been at the upper echelon of British football. But the current management, the current owners have dissipated that, and I don't see the Chelsea team competing for trophies in the near future.
So our 4th game where you can predict is Chelsea against Nottingham Forest. So 4 games where you get to predict and win. We've given you 4. There's 2 more games to go. You just stick with us, and the 2 more games will come. But then we've spoken about the title race, places, or the fight for UEFA Champions League football. Now it's time to look at the drop zone. 2 teams relegated already: Wolverhampton Wanderers and then also Burnley, both condemned to Champions League championship football next season. But then there's Tottenham Hotspur, there's also West Ham United, all in the mix as far as the fight for safety is concerned. Kaich, let me come to you quickly. Tottenham Hotspur had to sack their manager, Igor Tudor, who was appointed midway through the season, and now they've brought in Roberto De Zerbi, and he was so unlucky not to have won that game against Brighton and Hove Albion. They managed to get a win against Wolverhampton Wanderers, goal courtesy Palhinha. Now they travel all the way to the Midlands. They'll be playing against Aston Villa at the Villa Park. Do you see Tottenham Hotspur winning this game?
Frankly speaking, Tottenham Hotspur, I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing.
But it's fine.
I'm still not laughing.
No, but that's Tottenham Hotspur.
Imagine Tottenham Hotspur with all the facilities they have.
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yes, playing in Championship.
Be...
It looks more reality than fiction.
Wow.
Come on, Josiah. Let's be frank with ourselves. You know, football can change. Football things do happen.
Yeah.
There are dynamics in football, but in reality, now, on paper, on book, Tottenham Hotspur are very, very close to relegation.
Wow.
Because the team above them is West Ham United.
Yeah, just 2 points.
They are 2 points.
Yeah.
Yes. Aside the worst performing team, which is Wolves, the second worst performing team is Burnley, and then the third worst performing team is what? Tottenham. They're already in the drop zone.
Are they not the same team?
They don't look like a team.
The defending champions of the
Europa. Yes. Europa League. They don't look like a team that is ready to escape or avoid it. Because you need one win is 3 points, right?
Yeah.
So even if they win, there should be a surety that the teams they are chasing also drop points. But then all the possibility that these teams will be dropping points while you win, because even in lesser matches you're not able to pick up points. How are you going to play against Aston Villa and then expecting a win at this particular stage, where Aston Villa are also chasing Champions League football?
Yeah.
So, but then there's one thing I think: injuries has really worried Tottenham Hotspur. Look at a player like Kudus, who they bought with huge money, struggling for fitness, and then also see what's happened to Xavi Simons over the weekend. So. But then I still think they have the depth. They have the players.
Wow.
Yeah, Matthias Tel and Co are still there.
Yeah.
Kolumani and still are still there. These are decent players that are supposed to get to Palhinha.
These are players.
Palhinha came from Bayern. Yes, he came from Bayern. So these are very decent players who are supposed to. And then look at Jess Spence. He has been playing for the Three Lions for a couple of matches now.
Yeah. He's
had back-to-back call-outs to the English national team. And then, at this very particular moment, if you're not that good, how to still be calling for national team? And then this left back, like they have quite some.
Yeah, they have some quality.
Christian Romero. How are you telling me that these players are the players taking Spurs to relegation? It's somehow beats my imagination, but then it is what it is. It doesn't look likely that they will escape relegation, but then that is what is being represented.
Are they winning against Villa?
Aston Villa. Even if Aston Villa decide to play with their second bench, this Tottenham Hotspur team are not motivated enough. They don't have the willingness to come out of their shells or come out of their shadow to outperform their opponents. You see, so the last couple of games they've played, I've not seen any real zeal, because especially that match against Brighton, they should have won that match. How did you draw that match? So there's no zeal or will to overdo or determination in that team, just like how the Chelsea players play.
All right.
More like a lackadaisical movement or attitude from them. They don't have any firepower as we speak.
So it's Tottenham Hotspur traveling all the way to Aston Villa. It's our fifth game where you predict. And like I said, just predict in that sequence, and you stand a chance of winning. Let's just hear from you in the comment section with your predictions. Now, there's also one game that would really interest you because it could have a telling on who gets relegated. And it's West Ham United also in action. And guess who West Ham United will be playing over the weekend? They are playing fellow London side, Brentford, at the GTEC. First, huge game for West Ham.
I would have to say that West Ham, did put themselves into this debacle because they had a couple of decent run-ins where I thought that they had moved out of the relegation zone, but they contrived to find themselves in the relegation zone again. But what is really going to help them is the fact that they are playing before Tottenham plays. So it really helps you when you are playing first. If you are really competing with somebody, either winning the trophy or fighting for the relegation zone. So should they be able to beat Brentford, it's going to put the pressure back on Tottenham Hotspur. But if they are able to not get the 3 points or not even get a point, then it means that they are sealing their fate. But Brentford hasn't really been good this season. They've not been that flamboyant because we have a couple of teams in the English Premier League where they are not that defensive. They come out and then play attacking football. One is Brentford, one is Bournemouth, one is Brighton. But this season, Brentford hasn't really come to the party. But I expect them to be a tough nut to crack for West Ham. Notwithstanding that, I think that West Ham, knowing what is at stake, because should they win, it means that the point gap goes to 5 between them and then Tottenham Hotspur until they play against Aston Villa on Sunday. Yeah. So that alone should be a sense of motivation for them to come out there and then play their hearts out. Because playing in the English Premier League and the Championship are two different scenarios altogether. You understand? I don't know whether West Ham players have in their contracts that if they get relegated, they get their wages slashed.
No, definitely it will be slashed.
We have teams that most of the time have those in their contracts. Yeah. But with the big teams who don't really see themselves as
you don't earn the same amount of money playing in the Championship as
but it depends on the contract. You understand? Because if a team like Chelsea is not going to flirt with relegation, a team like Man City is not going to flirt with relegation, so they don't necessarily add that in their clauses.
No, but it comes naturally.
It doesn't come naturally.
When United fail to qualify for the Champions League,
it is written in the contract. The contract that United has with Adidas and then their set sponsors. If they fail to qualify for the Champions League, it automatically triggers a payment not to be made. Do you understand? But is it inserted into the clause of the players individually? That is the point. That is the point I'm trying to make. So, if you look at teams like Wolves, like Burnley, normally it is inserted into the clauses of the players that should they be relegated into the Championship, then they're going to have their wages slashed.
Interesting. So that is our sixth and final game. That game is at the GTEC. Brentford against West Ham is a London derby, but most importantly, for West Ham United, is a game that a win could see them move or drift away from danger. But for Brentford, they are still in search for European places. Certainly, maybe a UEFA Europa League appearance next season wouldn't be bad. But I'll be taking this to my pundit because I'll be taking their quick predictions with all the games we've mentioned so far. We begin with our very first game. Your quick predictions. Arsenal are playing against Fulham. Atiga, I'm taking your prediction.
Arsenal beat Fulham 2-1.
2-1.
It's a 3-1 win for Arsenal.
3-1 win for Arsenal. Now Everton hosting Manchester City. Atiga.
I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but I don't think Everton is going to be able to get a goal against City, so it should be a 2-0 win for Man City.
A 2-0 win for Manchester City.
I don't trust the guys at the back of Manchester City. 2-1 for City.
2-1 for City. Now let's move on. We talk about Liverpool against Manchester United, and this is a cracking game. Who are you going for, Atiga? What's your prediction?
So I would say it's going to be a draw, either a 1-1 or a 2-2 draw.
1-1, 2-2, Liverpool, Manchester United, or Manchester United, Liverpool.
Liverpool beats Manchester United.
Liverpool beats Manchester United. There's Chelsea against Forest, Atiga. Your quick prediction.
Nottingham Forest beats Chelsea.
Nottingham Forest beats Chelsea. You side with him. You go.
It will be a draw. It will be
A draw game.
Yes.
Wow. Now there's Aston Villa against Tottenham Hotspur, Atiga.
2-1, 3-1 Tottenham.
What's the score for that game?
I'm going to be biased, very, very biased. And
I
I only wish it happens.
What's
but then it doesn't look likely. Tottenham 1, Aston Villa 0.
Tottenham 1, Aston Villa 0. Last game is Brentford against West Ham, the London derby. Atiga, your prediction?
I think West Ham wins 2-1.
Brentford sit 9th on the league log. One of the masterclass has happened to the English Premier League. They've lost a player like Juan Wissa. They also lost Mbeumo, who were 2 players who scored 20 plus goals for the team last season. But then they are still going and then going stronger. Finishing 9th or maybe above in the English Premier League is no joke for a team like Brentford. Come on.
What's your prediction?
Brentford carries the day.
What's your prediction?
2-1.
2-1 win for Brentford. So you've heard from my pundits, and that's what we want you to do. The comment section is open. All you have to do is to predict all the 6 games. And if you answer any correctly, you would have a share of that $140 jackpot. Our media is given away freely. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Follow us across the various social media platforms. And most importantly, win some money with the Our Media Predict and Win.